Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm gonna, we have two guests. I'm gonna, there you go, add you to the room. Here's another one. I'm gonna give everyone permission to talk. I see most of you are on mute, but I'm gonna give you permission to talk so you can ask questions. So hi, everyone. My name is Julie McGilvray. I'm the undergraduate advisor for students majoring in music at UC Davis. And here with us today, we have Amelia Treist. Amelia is our fabulous faculty advisor. And so Amelia and I are the ones who will be assisting you with reviewing your transcript and guiding you on which courses to register for fall quarter. So welcome today. We're going to give you a brief overview, and then you'll have the opportunity to ask questions. Feel free to unmute your mic to ask questions. And there are no silly questions. Each question is valuable. If you are not currently admitted as a music major and you're wondering about changing into the major, we can address those questions later. Or if you're currently looking at double majoring, we prefer to handle those questions toward the end of the session as well. First, we want to get through the important things, which are talking about music theory classes and determining what the requirements are for the major and the 3 tracks that we offer. How's that, Amelia?
That's great.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Amelia now.
Great. So I think as you all have probably seen, if you've looked at the major, it's divided into 3 areas of emphasis: performance, composition, and music history, theory, and ethnomusicology are the 3 tracks. What's really important to know, and this work is important for transfers and freshman music majors, is that the core coursework of all 3 tracks is exactly the same, especially in the first 2 years. Everybody takes 2 years of theory or has done some of their theory at community college. Everyone takes 2 years of musicianship. That would be music 16 and 17. And we also have everyone do a year of keyboard harmony, which is called keyboard competence. Similarly, everyone does, at this juncture, we are still doing a 6-quarter history sequence of 3 lower division history courses and 3 upper division history courses. Those are in a slight state of flux. So if you're entering into the 2nd year of history, which again, everyone takes, there may be changes sooner, but for most students, starting this year, if they start history this year, they will all take a 3-quarter sequence of history. After that, is this too much detail? No. After that, all 3 tracks also all take at least 1 upper division seminar. Those are numbered 121 and 122. Everyone takes 3/4 of lessons minimum, and everyone has to take a certain amount of performance ensembles. If you are performance track, and I think it makes sense, you take a lot more performance units. If you're a composition track person, you would take a lot more composition units. This would be in the 3rd year. And those 2 tracks have a barrier, meaning the composition track, you submit a portfolio at the end of your 1st year of theory, or if you're a transfer, we usually fast track that. To be admitted to the composition track, the composition faculty look through that portfolio, and then you work sequentially through a junior and a senior portfolio also. Similarly, the performance track has a performance track jury to be admitted to that track, usually after at least 2 or 3/4 of lessons. Again, we're having to navigate slightly different timeframes, partly because of COVID-19, and we also accommodate transfer students in a slightly different way. Once you're admitted to that track, then you would do a junior and a senior recital. The music history, theory, and ethnomusicology track also does similar coursework. They do usually more coursework in history, theory, and ethnomusicology. That makes sense. And they do a capstone project at the end as well. All of the tracks have certain amount of elective requirements of upper division courses, and there is a wide range of choices. You could take Bach, you could take Broadway musical, you could take history of music of Southeast Asia, all sorts of wonderful choices. And so we're here to help you figure that out. both of us, but much more likely Julie, know exactly what quarter which courses, like the ones that happen off and on, are going to be offered. We're a small department, and so a lot of our courses are only offered once a year. So if you're starting music theory, you got to start it in the fall. You shouldn't freak out if you haven't started it yet, but you need to start it in the fall, because the ABCs go fall, winter, spring for most of our courses. The small part of being a small department, that's a challenge, but the best part is you're looking at 2 advisors right now, and we have a fairly small faculty. Most of our students, what they say that they like the best is someone knows my name and someone knows who I am. And the other thing, I think Julie would agree, get involved in lessons and performance as soon as possible. We have skeletal information about how that may or may not work in fall, but it's a great way of getting to know your cohort. Okay, I'm stopping.
Okay, thank you, Amelia. That was a lot of information. I think it'd be good now just to show on the website, you know, on the front page, theory information, and then where to find the 3 tracks, more information on 3 tracks, just in case anyone joining us has not had the opportunity to go and review our website. Do you want to do that for us, Amelia?
You want me to share the screen? Yep.
Yeah, go ahead and give us a little walkthrough on where to find this information on the website. And you can just briefly repeat it for those who came in later.
All right, and I have these up here. We always have to get out from behind the Zoom screen. Okay, here is our department website. Here's the information session that you're at right now. And here's a page about enrolling in music theory. Julie, do you want me to talk about that now?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So this is enrolling in music theory. Now, if you're a transfer student, you may very well have done a year of theory at your community college. In particular, because I also happen to teach first-year musicianship and keyboard harmony, we will, or I will, or we both will look at what you've brought with you from community college if you're a transfer, and figure out where you most likely slot into our theory. If you are a college starting as a freshman and you've taken AP theory, there may be things that you already know that we do. We do teach what's known as species counterpoint as part of our first year theory. And so sometimes there are little pieces of subject matter that are not in the college transcript or in the high school AP theory background. Anyway, here is the page about theory placement. Let me get rid of the Zoom windows here. Of course, that you can't see. Here is a sample placement test to get into the first year of music theory. So this is to get in. So what we're looking for is to see, do you know how time signatures work? Do you know how key signatures work? Things like that. Scales, some knowledge of intervals, some knowledge of triads, but we don't expect you to know all the inversions of a 7th chord and those sorts of things. But we're just looking to see where you are. Some students have done an awful lot of work in theory. Some students have done an awful lot of work in theory and musicianship as well. So this is a test just to see that you've got the basic information for music theory in place. Assuming that you're reading, that you read music and that sort of thing. So assuming you enroll in all 3 courses to begin with, you choose the 6A, you choose 16A and choose 2A, but this is not necessarily a done deal for transfer students. So you can test out of parts of Music 16A, musicianship and keyboard. And especially for keyboard, we will send you material and say, here, play this for us, and from memory or transposing chord progressions. Let me go to the, Julie, do you want me to go to the catalog?
Sure. And one thing I want to add is I want to reiterate, for transfer students coming in, Amelia is very carefully going to review your transcript, and so you have completed courses that already equal 2A, 6A, 16A, or maybe even the B and
Right.
C theories. Our
Right.
goal is to support you in getting into the correct level of theory that's
Right.
right for you. Not everyone comes in and needs to take these courses.
Exactly.
You
And
may
sometimes people have taken lots of theory and lots of ear training and no keyboard harmony. So that's an advantage of us keeping those courses separate, that we can plug the holes and not make you take an entire gigantic sequence at the same time. Or we may say, hey, you know what, you should skip the first 2 quarters of theory and jump in the 3rd quarter.
Mhm.
But it's never a disaster. We will figure it out.
Another thing to know, what Amelia is very good at, is there may be courses at your community college that do not articulate that are equal to our theory classes. Amelia will identify those. She will inquire with you about the classes you took, or she already has knowledge of the community college classes that are equal to our theory. So if you're worried that assist.org doesn't show that the theory classes you completed at community college equal classes here, don't worry about it right now. Amelia, when she has her hands on your transcript, when we get those, before you register, we will review that with you in a meeting one-to-one
Yeah.
during the advising meeting before you schedule classes for fall quarter.
We'll ask you all sorts of questions about, did you do secondary dominance and things like that?
I have no idea what that is. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the catalog as it stands right now. Again, some of the history courses are in the process of being approved still. This is the first year and second year that we were talking about. This is the first year of history. It should have 1 more quarter in there as of right now, but again, this sequence is being retooled. And here are the tracks. So basically, everything lower division is above each track's listing, or area of concentration, emphasis track, whatever term you want to use. And then you can see, you can read through this. There's extra theory, extra 2 quarters of theory in the composition track. I know it drives me crazy when people scroll quickly when they're screen sharing and I'm sitting there in Zoom trying to grab the screen with my hand. So I'll try not to go too fast. The music history theory and ethno track is right here. Again, very similar, 3 quarters of lessons, 6 units of performance, and you can see more units of other upper division courses to end up so that all 3 tracks have similar totals. Music performance, same thing, same upper division history, and then much more ensemble, which, you know, I think most people would think does make sense if you're going to be a performer. The other thing that is buried in the performance track and is sort of understood is that if you're going to be performance track, it follows that you would be taking lessons every quarter. Once you've taken 19 units of either lessons or performance ensembles, they stop counting towards the unit cap, which is a good thing. So they can't put you over the unit cap and cause you to think I have to get out of here sooner.
Yeah, so another thing that's important too, if you plan to pursue the performance track, please begin music lessons in your first quarter at UC Davis, and we'll give you instruction how to enroll in music lessons. And then if you're in performance track, plan to take lessons every quarter. The composition track and the history theory of the musicology track only require a total of 6 units. We'll give more details about that later. Amelia, a question I think that maybe on some people's minds is, if students want to pursue the performance track or the composition track, when would they apply?
Well, I would say, first of all, you would, if assuming you're a transfer student,
Yeah.
I would say if you're a performance track person, you may come in with an awful lot of chops, as we call them, under your belt, and you talk to the teacher that you're studying with at UC Davis, say, I want to do the performance track. Do you think I'm ready to take the performance track jury? We have had some students take it at the end of fall quarter, even if they've only been here for a quarter. That's a fairly rare situation, but tell your teacher that that's the track you want to do, and they will let you know, yeah, you're ready, let's do it. And they have to sign a form that says you're ready to do it as well. chances are good that you could do it in winter quarter. Again, we're all dealing with a slightly different situation this quarter, or this coming quarter and the current quarter. Um, uh, the composition track, the composition portfolio, again, often transfer students have come in with some pieces. So you can use some existing pieces for your entry-level portfolio, but you would definitely want to talk to whoever you're taking theory with and say, hey, could you look at this? I want to submit these pieces and get into the composition track. Most of the time, the big set of people trying to get into the composition track happens at the end of an academic year in spring quarter. But because we do the other portfolios earlier in the year, it could conceivably happen in winter quarter. The best thing to do is get in touch with a composition teacher, and that's an awful lot of the theory teachers, and ask them about it. Or if you're a composition student, we very much recommend that you take Music 103, which is the composition workshop class that a lot of students take, even if they're not composition track. So that's a good way to figure that out. And we can help you navigate the right people to talk to. But it's not too complicated. And you submit the portfolio online through the website. Julie, if you want to keep talking, I'll see if I can find that page.
Okay. Another thing, I hear a lot of questions that I get from transfer students are like, how long is it going to take me to graduate? You know, our goal is to assist you in determining, you know, what theory courses and what musicianship courses or keyboarding courses you've already had at the community college, you know, where you are, what level. And our goal is to have you graduating in a reasonable amount of time. Considering most transfer students have already spent 2 or 3 years at a community college, the typical goal is to spend 2 years at UC Davis. So what I assist you with is once we hear from Amelia and we know what level of theory you can begin at, then I can assist you with building an academic plan. So every student has access to a website called Oasis, and it's your online advising portal where you can see your academic record. You can see all the courses that have transferred in to UC Davis. And then what we do is you and I can sit down together, or we can have a Zoom meeting, and we can build a 2-year academic plan and to determine, you know, exactly which courses to take each quarter, what your options are for upper division electives for each track, and then additional units you need to graduate that are required by the university. Composition track typically takes additional time beyond 2 years. Can you speak to that a little more, Amelia? Is it
Right.
It's pretty typical the composition will be 3-year track?
Right. If again, if you're a transfer student, awfully good chance that you'll start with the second year of theory, which is Music 7 and 17. Not all the time, but most of the time, that's where the transfer student belongs. But composition has 2 more quarters, Music 101A and 101B of theory, and therefore has far fewer elective units associated with it. So you will find probably that your classmates will be done with theory, although many people take 101A and B anyway. And you will still be in 2 more quarters of theory in fall and winter of maybe very likely of your senior year. So, and here is the page on portfolios, and this is the page for this year. So the entrance portfolio is the typical pattern for an incoming freshman would do this in spring, June 4th, but you see there's a winter submission date for the junior portfolio. So very likely what a transfer student can do, and we've even had them do it, as I said, in fall, you can submit it then. And what you do is you upload the score right here.
That's great.
Yep.
On our website.
Yep. So, and there's a form that goes with it.
So can students do this anytime? Can they just go and upload a score? We recommend they speak with faculty first?
Yeah, no, these only do these in advance of the deadline, or they're just going to sit there.
Okay. I'm just going to read them.
You don't want your music out there, right? Well,
So
you do.
another thing that leads me to to remind everyone, inform everyone of is that you will be added to our listserv. So we have a music listserv just for music majors, and we will add your name, and you will get any information we want to send out to you with information on, when will the performance jury be held and where. When's the time to submit a composition to be accepted into the composition track? You'll receive emails on that from us. And it also will most likely be posted on the department website. So Amelia just went over composition. On the website, you can find when to submit a composition portfolio to be accepted into the composition track. The composition track requires a junior composition to be submitted and a senior composition portfolio. However, for students who are not admitted into the composition track or the performance track, they can go to they can follow the history, theory, ethnomusicology track. The history, theory, ethnomusicology track, if you are interested in composition, you can still complete the upper division theory courses, Music 103 composition, Music 101A, Music 101B theory, in the history, theory, ethnomusicology track. That's one thing I like to point out is if you don't get in the composition track, you can still take the upper division theory courses that'll count toward the track requirements for history, theory, ethnomusicology. Students who are not accepted right away into performance track, I gotta be admitted, sometimes they are allowed to re-audition.
Yes, right.
They'll let you know what to brush up on and have a second audition for the track.
Right. Sometimes I've been on the juries off and on. Sometimes we'll say, would you just come back and take the jury again next quarter? Right. Sometimes people just are not ready, or we're pretty good at telling the difference, but.
Yeah. So if you plan on pursuing the performance track, one thing Amelia mentioned earlier, it's your music teacher that prepares you for the audition for the performance track for your junior recital and your senior recital. So on our website, you can review all of our music teachers. They're called applied faculty, and you would need to reach out to them. You need to email them, let them know you would like an audition or find out more information about them. And you can choose which music teacher you would like to work with.
If there's more than one for the instrument.
Oh yeah, that's right. Not every instrument has more than one teacher.
Yeah, and there are multiple instruments for violin, piano. Sorry, Julie, and for violin, piano, and voice. So
that's fine. Yeah. So sometimes some we have multiple, some you might have one choice, like harpsichord, you got one choice. Sorry. Okay, so that's like a brief overview of what we want you to know we think is important. And it's a lot of information, a little bit of time, and we're happy to review this with you again in the future. But for now, I want to open up to questions. Any questions that anyone may have? Feel free to unmute your mic and go ahead and ask a question.
Or I know my students in Zoom insist on putting everything in the chat, and then I have to go fumble around and find the question in the chat.
Okay, go ahead and if you have if you want to chat.
Oh, Q&A. There. Oh, it's Q&A.
Q&A. There you go. If you want to enter something in the Q&A and ask a question.
Should we, do we need to unmute?
I have them all as talking permitted. They can unmute themselves.
Okay.
If you can't unmute yourself, let me know.
Well,
maybe we don't have any questions. Okay, I have a question, Amelia.
Okay.
When should I email a music teacher to ask for an audition? Should I do it now or in the fall quarter?
Given our current situation that, well, everyone's used to teaching in Zoom now, I would say it might not be a bad idea to do it now or over the summer. It's really fantastic when the teacher knows who's coming and who wants to be in their studio. Especially because we very often have non-majors who are still already here who want to be in the percussion studio, for example. But if we don't know that we have 3 percussionists coming from high school and we don't know to make room, it's really lovely to get in touch, and it's wonderful for you, in my opinion, and the teacher to get in touch before school starts, so they know to make room for you in the studio.
Okay, great.
Also, what chamber music this fall, my understanding right now, will be done through the studios, and so again, if the saxophone teacher knows he has a whole quartet of saxophonists, they can make a saxophone quartet. So it's lovely to know and get in touch.
For ensembles
Lovely.
and lessons. So,
And
yeah.
ensembles too, right. Let
And
me,
really, yeah, go
sorry.
ahead.
Oh, there's a question.
Yeah.
There's two questions.
Let's finish this. First of all,
Okay.
don't be surprised if you email an applied music teacher, applied faculty, or an ensemble teacher, and you don't get an immediate response. They may be waiting to respond to you closer to the
Right,
beginning of the quarter. It's not unusual. They will not respond to you right
right,
away.
right.
So,
And these days, and not an excuse, many professional musicians are rather overwhelmed with completely retooling how they do everything. Okay, here are the questions. If a student is interested in teaching music one day, can I answer live? I think I'll answer.
yeah,
Is that okay if I answer?
yeah,
What I would say, so we don't have a music education track. The only UC that has a music education track, as opposed to CSU's, is UCLA, as you may or may not know. But we've had many students. As a matter of fact, I was going to think about getting them to come on and do a seminar at some point over the summer and the fall. We have many students who've gone on to music education careers from Davis. I would say the things to get really good at, probably orchestration, right? If you're going to be secondary music education. Conducting, we have conducting classes every year. And I would say do as much performing as you possibly can, even if you're not performance track. That would be my opinion. Right now, the band directors at it's either Jesuit or Christian Brothers at River City High School, the director of bands at Oregon State, and the choir director at Granite Bay High School are all graduates of our department. And then went on to get a teaching credential, most of them either at UOP or Sac State, get a master's in music education or a credential. So does that, Avery, other?
yeah. I want to add to that too. UC Davis does not offer a major in education, but there's a minor in education. So
Right,
you could major in music, choose a track, and then and we do have classes in orchestration, and we have classes, what was the other one, conducting, so you can take
right,
those classes as electives, and you can minor education at UC Davis.
right. Because you're going to have to go get a credential anyway. And you may or may not know that the CSUs are where a lot of people get their credential, or UOP in Stockton. Okay, Tiara. We do not have diction classes per se, but teachers who teach voice do teach diction. So you could possibly take a linguistics class and learn the IPA. That would be something to do, as diction is very often based on the IPA. So that's what I would recommend, but we don't have a dedicated diction class. There may be some speech-oriented classes within theater and drama, but that's probably more for elocution.
Okay, can you read the answer? Can you read the question, or do you want me to read it, Amelia? The next.
The next one from Olivia.
Mhm.
Are there any classes that you recommend the history ethnomusicology track should take at community college that are different from the other tracks? I would say if there's music history available, take it. All of the disciplines in music need a firm grounding in theory. And I suppose that sounds biased, but that's true. It's always been true. It still is true. Maybe take one thing, if there is a lower division world music class or a lower division music appreciation class that you could take at your community college, one that does Western music history, from the Middle Ages or earlier all the way through. So basically it does a timeline of music history. That we teach a class like that here too. Transfer students as you probably know, better off accumulating as many upper division units as soon as they can. So that's one. If you have a world music class, a lower division, or a popular American music class, or a lower division jazz history class, because ethnomusicology especially incorporates all of those. So that would be, I would hope, and I would think probably music historians would say, hey, just take some history classes, because
Yeah.
it's all part of the same big picture.
Another thing to think about too is community college classes. The history classes there will hopefully transfer to our program as music, is similar to or equal to or transfer as music 24 A, B, and C. However, the music history classes at a community college cannot replace our upper division unit requirements when it comes to electives and history classes. They can only satisfy lower division requirements. And if you want more information on what classes would transfer to UC Davis, there's a website called assist.org. And assist.org, you may already know it. You can look up what courses at your community college would transfer to UC Davis as lower division history classes.
More questions? Are there more? Well, there are.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we have one at the bottom.
There were two more, one more. Okay.
Oh, Julie, this is Julie's favorite kind of question about double major.
Okay, if you want a double major as a transfer student, how would that work? Okay, so first, we would need to build an academic plan to say, how long would it take you to double major? And more importantly, how many units? We're in the College of Letters and Sciences, and the College of Letters and Sciences has a unit cap. The unit cap is 225 units. You need a minimum of 180 units to graduate, and 225 units is what they call the unit cap. So basically the College of Letters and Sciences says, hey, we want you to be finished at UC Davis and within 225 units. However, I have seen that rule broken. They do allow students to go over 225 units in their final quarter. And if you're a student who completed AP units in high school, or maybe you took college classes in high school, those units do not count toward the unit cap, which is very exciting because we can subtract those from the unit cap. So the best thing to do if you want to come in and double major at UC Davis is to meet with the other major advisor you have an interest in learning about. You want to speak with that major advisor, and then that major advisor can build you an academic plan on OASIS. You and I can add to that plan with all the music major requirements, and we can determine how many units it will take you to finish a double major, and then we can submit it to the College of Letters and Sciences and see if it gets approved. There's no guarantee that you can do a double major as a transfer student, because most likely you will have transferred into UC Davis already from your community college a maximum of 105 units. So then you have another 120 units you can complete at UC Davis. Yeah, so we can work all that out with an academic plan, and then we recommend meeting with both major advisors.
I like this question thing.
Okay, more questions? Anyone else have questions?
Oh, here we go. This is also Julie's favorite question, but I'll answer it, and you'll. We are at this point trying to put the brakes on double concentrations, because for one thing, the college is not thrilled with us for doing this, but the other thing is that it causes an awful lot of double projects and I don't know, what's the other justification? We're trying to discourage double concentrations right now. Julie, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so Amelia mentioned the college has a problem with it. Well, the reason is it's not written in our general catalog. So yeah. All your rights as a student and all the courses you're required to take are printed in the UC Davis general catalog. So the double catalog, we do not have written into the major that students can double concentrate, what we call double track. It's not written in there. So yeah, that's basically the reason why. We have to get it, and I don't think the department, like Emilia said, there are some underlying issues with students who double track.
Yeah, there's question about the quality of two projects when you're involving two different faculty members and trying to push things through on two different tracks. We have had a lot of students do it, but we're trying to get students to focus a little bit more. One thing to keep in mind is that the coursework is awfully similar. So as Julie said, you can still get the background. Your transcript, even if you're not composition track and you take those composition courses, it will say, you know, advanced composition or advanced music theory. So anyway, I don't know if that's good or bad, but.
All right, we've got about 9 more minutes here in our webinar. What are some other common questions we get from transfer students? One thing that you can do is you can major in music and choose a minor. Minors at UC Davis, to complete a minor, you basically need to take 20 upper division units in another department. On the UC Davis website, you can search, just go to our website and search minors at UC Davis, and you'll see a whole list of minors. So to complete a minor at UC Davis, you basically just enroll in the courses that count toward the minor and then declare your minor your senior year. It's really easy to do. And UC Davis requires students to complete 64 upper division units to graduate. So that means in addition to the upper division units required for your major, you will need additional upper division units to graduate beyond the major requirements. A maximum of 19 performance units can count toward that 64 division unit count. So that means performance units, as Amelia mentioned earlier, are your music lessons and music ensembles. So only 19 units of music lessons and music ensembles will count toward the 225 unit cap. So basically, if you're thinking, well, I'm just going to get all my upper division units by performing in ensembles, that won't work, unfortunately. You will need to take additional upper division units beyond the minimum major requirements. So you can take more upper division classes, complete more upper division units with additional music classes. You're welcome to take our classes or from any other topics at UC Davis that are upper division. For example, theater and dance in the fall quarter, they are offering a course called Drama 198 on Broadway musicals. So if you have an interest in Broadway musicals, I can send me an email and I can send you the course record number and the faculty member to ask for consent of instructor to enroll.
And when is that in fall?
Yeah, it's fall quarter. Mindy Cooper Granke is teaching the class, and she used to perform on Broadway. So you got expert there teaching.
Oh, we have 2 more questions.
Yay! All right.
The ethnomusicology track. Well, it's the history theory ethnomusicology track. So you take, generally speaking, you take more upper division music history or ethnomusicology courses. Olivia, elaborate on that question. No? Well, I'm wondering what you mean about explaining more about it.
Well, let me give some insight here. So the history theory ethnomusicology track doesn't require any type of audition or submission to enroll. And basically, the history theory ethnomusicology track requires 12 upper division units from history or ethnomusicology courses in the department. So that's 12 electives. Composition requires 4 upper division electives, and performance requires 6 upper division electives. So that's one thing that's really different, is you get to choose which upper division courses you want to complete for that track. And then we mentioned earlier performance, you have a senior recital required to graduate. Composition, you have a senior composition portfolio required to graduate. And in the history theory ethnomusicology track, you're required to complete a research paper, and you work with a faculty member, a music faculty member, to complete the research paper, and then you have a 20-minute presentation. And that's required to graduate for the history theory ethnomusicology track.
Olivia, ask another question if we can, and I'll answer Avery's question. What's the hardest thing about being a music major? I think probably the hardest thing is it's hard. The hardest thing about coming to UC Davis at all is getting used to the 10-week quarter. Most people from a high school or a community college have dealt with a semester. and everything just goes like this. For instance, because we're living in Zoom, it just occurred to me that Monday's a holiday. I only have 4 more instructional days for the class I teach, and the
Wow.
students feel that way too. So that's what's hard, is getting used to the quarter system. I think the other thing is, for a lot of students who love music and want to be a music major, it's getting used to the academic side of music, music history, music theory, and understanding that we're not trying to kill your love of music, but it's an academic discipline, and you can't really fast track or cram music information. You can't, for instance, if you're writing a Bach chorale or voicing a chorale, you can't just sit there and toss it off. At least most people can't. So most of music study is done in real time, as opposed to a lot of other disciplines these days. So I think that's probably the hardest thing, and balancing all of that. Of course, again, we're doing an awful lot of things in Zoom, but that doesn't really change that music is extremely process oriented. And that's not necessarily, our world these days tends to be awfully outcome oriented, right? So that may be something to get used to.
I would say too, you have to have some really good time management skills, which hopefully by now you do. Coming in as a junior, you have an advantage over first year students that are just coming to college, because you have those organizational skills and time management skills, and balancing classes and workload and study time. So that's your advantage coming in as a junior transfer student. Also, we do have practice rooms available in the music building and our new Ann E. Pitzer Center, our performance hall. There are practice rooms where you can reserve practice rooms, and as much practice time as you need, you can reserve rooms pretty much. What time is the building open until? Is it open until 10 p.m. and it's open
Yes.
all weekends? So the music building and Pitzer Center is open until 10 p.m. every night, open all weekends. So you have all the time, you can go in as much time as you need and
Right.
use a practice room.
Right now, of course, we're living in a different world, and
Yeah.
we're going to have to bring things back slowly in fall, we think, but there are all sorts of contingencies and plans.
Yeah.
For performance majors, how to transfer auditions work. I would, again, you would want to talk to your teacher and say, hey, I'm performance track. I want to take the jury as soon as possible. Again, it is possible. This is to Danielle. It's possible to take it at the end of fall quarter if your teacher thinks you're ready. Again, like the composition portfolio, the major chunk of performance track auditions takes place at the end of the first year of maybe the 3/4 of lessons. If you're a transfer student, obviously you don't necessarily want to wait around for that, and think about getting that junior recital done sooner. That said, we don't necessarily want the junior and senior recital just to back up against each other. So it's really kind of a way of talking to the teacher, saying, this is what I want to do. How soon do you think I'll be ready? And then we have a faculty member who's in charge of performance track juries. Often there's 1 or 2 every quarter. The big sign up one is in spring, but that shouldn't be a concern. Would you recommend a minor to go along? I think Julie would recommend a minor to go along with everything. I think I would too. It's a university, take advantage of it.
Yeah, and the minor doesn't have to be related to music. It can be whatever topic you want to study. It doesn't have to be directly related. So
Yeah,
yeah, minor will help you get those additional upper division units you
right,
need to graduate to meet 64.
right.
Okay,
One thing,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry.
Go for like 2 more minutes. We'll go over a minute.
Oh, would I have to declare an instrument? No, but you do have to take lessons, 3/4 of lessons. This is to Olivia. There have been students who have jumped around from instrument to instrument to instrument. You don't have to declare it, but you do have to get in touch with the teacher and take lessons on an instrument.
And you have to bring your own instrument as well, unless it's a piano. We have pianos for students to use. Any other large instruments? We have a harpsichord.
Well, okay, so if you are a bassoonist and don't own the bassoon but own a bocal, we can find you a bassoon usually. There are a few instruments, if you are dying to play the bari sax and you only own an alto. Yeah, the bigger instruments tend to be. Also double basses and tubas, there may be one you can borrow, and harp, because
Yeah.
some people don't want to. Tiara, for the performance track audition, I think, Tiara, you would have to get in touch with the teacher. I would imagine too. I don't know. I would talk to the individual teacher about that. Usually it's a fast and a slow, right? Contrasting styles, that sort of thing. Yeah, but I would ask the teacher. Oh, and for the performance track audition, how many songs? It's generally speaking two different periods. In other words, maybe a Baroque piece, maybe a Romantic era piece. And I believe they want one at least in English. And for voice, they ask for the music to be memorized. They don't for the other instruments. Would I have to declare an instrument choose?
I'm just getting rid of the old ones here. I think we're out of time and we're out of
Okay.
questions. All right. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We hope we provided you some introductory information. The next step is for you to, well, I think you have until June 1st to submit your SIR. We do hope you join us at UC Davis. If you have any more questions that would help you make your decision, please feel free to reach out to myself or Amelia. We're happy to answer your questions in the best detail that we can. And then we hope to meet with you over the summer to determine what courses you would be enrolled in the fall quarter. And we hope you enjoy the summer.
Yes.
Yes. All right. And welcome to UC Davis. Woo! Congratulations on getting accepted. Bye, everyone.